This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good morning. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce my good friend, Rabbi Glatstein, in the Midrasha to give a wonderful shiur. He writes a lot of books in Hebrew, in English, and now he's translating to Spanish. If you know someone that is very interested in helping the cause, it's good. I travel with the rabbi. He makes a lot of trips to a lot of places, and he came to Panama for my wedding last night, and he wanted to give some Shiurim. So here is this. Un placer introducir a Rabino, mi amigo Rabino Glatstein. Sus Shiur son wow. El que escucha sus Shiurim, Tubi es fan antes que yo, hace como 10 años de Rabino, y mucha otra gente. Celine es muy fan de Rabino, lo conocen.
El doctor Rubín, que wow.
El doctor Rubín es el fan número 1 de Rabino hace 16 años en Panamá. Yo lo conozco hace 3 años nada más.
Sí, él se estaba llevando a la gente a la boda abajo al Shiur.
Sí, correcto. Entonces, es un placer tenerlos aquí y espero que les guste el Shiur.
Gracias.
You know, I have the feeling that what he said in English is not what he said in Spanish. Okay. First, let me give you this map. Here. I think I have more. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real honor to be here this afternoon. I would like to share with you today a perspective of Tefillah which will revolutionize your understanding of the Tefillah. In other words, before today, when you come to pray, when you come to daven, okay, so excuse me if I use Ashkenazic words, okay, bear with me. Yeah, daven, you know, okay. We say, okay, shacharit. What is shacharit? It's 100 pages, so let me go through it. Let me make sure I cover all 100 pages. And what am I doing? I don't know. I'm praying for what I need. I need my kids to behave. I need that they should fall asleep when I put them to sleep. I need them to do their homework. They should grow up good people. I need some parnasa. I need good health. I guess that's what I'm doing in shacharit. I mean, what else am I praying for? I would like to present to you today a fundamental understanding of tefillah that will revolutionize how we approach the davening in a completely new way. Many are not aware of this, and the way I came to this is I encountered a very interesting halacha. You know, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? But so many people say the first thing I do, I check my phone. No. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone. The first thing you do, modeh ani, but you have to wash your hands. Why do you have to? In Ashkenaz we call it negel Wasser. That you heard? Negel Wasser. What is that? What is negel Wasser? You see, when you go to sleep at night, the neshama goes up to Shamayim. When the neshama goes up to Shamayim, so now it creates a vacuum of kedusha. In other words, the soul has left the body. Now you're just a body. A body without a soul is attracting all the forces of impurity. All the forces of impurity now come onto the body. In the morning, when the neshama comes back into the body, the neshama banishes, chases away the forces of tumah, and now the tumah is only on your hands. Okay? Now, it's very important. Before you wash netilat yadayim negel vasar, you don't want to touch your eyes, because your hands have tumah. Even with your eyes closed, even on top of your eyes, you shouldn't touch. Even your ears, you shouldn't touch. You don't touch your mouth. You don't even touch food. You're not supposed to touch food before you wash netilat yadayim. This is a basic halacha, negel vasar, okay? But did you know, if you look in the Siddur, there's a bracha that we say in the morning. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam al netilat yadayim. Even women say this bracha, al netilat yadayim. Why do you say al netilat yadayim? You're eating bread. People don't like to eat bread during the week, especially ladies, chas v'shalom, to eat bread during the week, even Shabbat, Why do you say the bracha al netilat yadayim? You ever wonder? I'm not eating bread in the morning. Is that the same netilah as soon as I get up? No. Did you know that separate, aside from washing your hands right when you get up, before tefillah, you wash your hands again and you say al netilat yadayim? It's like a halacha that's foggy. Do I do that? Do I not do that? Did I learn that in school? Did I not learn that? There are two washings you do in the morning. One as soon as you get up, and one right before the tefillah. Why am I washing my hands before the tefillah? So, Rishonim write that when the Kohanim would go into the Beit HaMikdash, what's the first thing they would do in the morning? They would wash their hands from the kiyar. They would wash their hands and their feet. So we, as we're about to offer the tefillah, it's like we're going into Beit HaMikdash, so we wash our hands. So let's think about that for a moment. Really? As I'm about to pray, it's like I'm going into the Beit HaMikdash? Why is it like I'm going into the Beit HaMikdash? Now I want to fast forward for a moment. Did you ever hear the halacha that when you pray, when you stand Shemona Esrei, you're supposed to face which country? Eretz Yisrael. We face the Mizrach. Yeah, in Panama, what do they face? East. Northeast? Just east. East. Okay. East. We face Eretz Yisrael. But the Shulchan Aruch says, not only do we face Eretz Yisrael, we also face Yerushalayim. Right? I'm sure you learned that. You face Yerushalayim. So I have a question for you. And I think this is a very misunderstood halacha. So now I'm facing Israel. And now we say, okay, you're facing Israel. Now also face Yerushalayim. So what? I was standing like this, and now I recalibrate 0.0000001 degree, and now I'm facing Yerushalayim also. I'm already facing Israel. I'm thousands of miles away. What more do I need to do? Mishnah Brura explains the Shulchan Aruch doesn't mean you face Yerushalayim. He means you imagine yourself standing in Yerushalayim. And then the Shulchan Aruch says further, face Kodesh HaKadashim. The Kodesh HaKadashim is the Holy of Holies. So wait a second. I'm facing Eretz Yisrael. I'm facing Yerushalayim. Now I also have to face this small area, Kodesh HaKadashim, the Temple Mount. How exact do I need to be standing? How is that even possible? So Mishnah Brura says, no, it doesn't mean to face Kodesh HaKadashim. It means you imagine yourself as if you're standing in the Kodesh HaKadashim. Now that's not a well-known halacha. When you stand the Amidah, right? That's how you say the Amidah. You're supposed to imagine yourself standing in Yerushalayim in the Kodesh HaKadashim. So first thing we have to ask ourselves is, I always have to remind myself, am I doing that? I always sort of learned it means to face, but that's not really what it means. It means to, before I take my 3 steps back, I say I'm now heading into Yerushalayim to the Kodesh HaKadashim. Okay? So now I started to think, this is very interesting. That means in the beginning of the tefillah, I wash netilat yadayim like a kohen who's about to enter the Beit HaMikdash. And at the end of the tefillah, I'm imagining myself standing in the Kodesh HaKadashim. So could it be that it's not just at the beginning and the end, but really the whole tefillah is a journey through the Beit HaMikdash? And friends, I discovered that Rav Yaakov Emden and others, Rav Shimon Schwab, develop a whole approach how each part of tefillah corresponds to a different location in the Beit HaMikdash. And if you realize and know where you're standing in the Beit HaMikdash by each part of the tefillah, it's exhilarating. Because it's not just I'm reading words, it's what we call a journey of a lifetime. You're literally walking through the Beit HaMikdash every single day. So let's start with the beginning. You all have a map of the Beit HaMikdash. It starts with the Ezrat Nashem, okay? You see that? The Ezrat Nashem. Or, when we're done, I'll give everybody a special card you could scan it and hear the in-depth version of the shiur. Okay, so today you're just going to get the cliff notes, the generalities, and then you could scan this and you could get the cliff note edition. In the Ezrat Nashim corresponds to the beginning of the Tefillah. Many people in the beginning of the Tefillah, they like to say, Matovu, Yigdal, Adon Olam. That's the Ezrat Nashim. You see, the Ezrat Nashim, when people would come into the Beit HaMikdash, they would often come in very early in the morning. And what would they do early in the morning? They would say Tehillim, they would say Bakashot. They would sort of prepare themselves to be able to further enter the Beit HaMikdash. Now, look carefully. When you go into the Ezrat Nashim, until you get to Sha'ar Niknar, you ever hear of Sha'ar Niknar? Yeah. The Niknar gate? You would go up how many steps to get to Sha'ar Niknar?
10.
Count. Let's see, it's not so easy to count, but if it's 15 steps. Okay? 15 steps. Okay, you see Sha'ar Niknar is the door right before Ezrat Yisrael. Okay? You don't have the same map?
No.
You do. It's just one is facing one way and one is... Okay. You ready? Take two. This way, everyone take a card. Pass it down.
I think we have two different...
It's the same thing, it's just one is from... you have to flip it around. It's the same map. Okay? We'll use the card. Okay? Ezrat Nashim on the left-hand side. Okay? How many steps do you go up to till you get to the Sha'ar Niknar? 15 steps. Does anybody know? How many Birchat HaShachar do we say every morning? Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Asher Natan Lasachvi Vina L'havchin Ben Yom Uvein Laila Shelo Yasani Goy Shelo Yasani Aved Sha'asani Kirtzono Pokeach Ivrim Malbish Harumim Matir Asurim. 15 brachot. The 15 blessings that you make in the morning elevate you up the 15 steps from Ezrat Nashim into Ezrat Yisrael, Sha'ar Niknar. Okay. Then, you're ready, you entered an area called Ezrat Yisrael. Now, this is a very interesting question. Can a Gentile go into Beit HaMikdash?
No.
He's allowed in up to Ezrat Yisrael. Up to the Ezrat Yisrael, a Gentile could go. Okay? Ezrat Yisrael, if you look on the big map, right. Okay? You know, Ezrat Yisrael is a very interesting area. Ezrat Yisrael, at that point in time, a Gentile is not allowed in. He has to stay outside. So if you're going to the Beit HaMikdash with a Gentile, at this point, he stands outside, and the Yisraelim could go in. What part of Tefillah does this correspond to? You know, in many kihilot, before Psukei de Zimra, we say, Ashreinu, Matov Chalkeinu, Manoam Gorolenu. We talk about how fortunate the Jewish people are. And then we say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. What are we saying? Basically, we're saying we're fortunate. The Gentiles, they can't go in any further, but we're the chosen people. And we say the Shema, because if the Gentiles realize that we're being selected and we're elite and they can't go in, it's a little bit dangerous. So we say, come what may, we're willing to give up our life al Kiddush Hashem. We say Shema Yisrael, and we go in, and the rest of the world stays behind. That's the area of Ezrat Yisrael. Now, next part of Tefillah. Next part of Tefillah corresponds to Mizbeach. Okay? Now let me ask you, what part of the Tefillah do you think corresponds to the Mizbeach? What do we do on the Mizbeach? We bring Karbanot. So let me think. What part of the Tefillah corresponds to Karbanot? It corresponds to the Mizbeach. The Karbanot. The recitation of the Karbanot. Parshat HaTamid, Ezehu Mekoman Shel Zvachim. You know, I'm going to tell you a little secret. You know that ladies could also say Karbanot. Not only that, even though most ladies don't have time for it, if you have time in prayer and you want to say Karbanot, it's a good idea to say Parshat HaTamid. Parshat HaTamid is one paragraph. It talks about the bringing of the Karban Tamid. That even it's recommended if women have time, they could say that. That corresponds to the Mizbeach. Why? Because we bring the karbanot on the Mizbeach. So it's not just we're saying the Tamid. When we say Parshat HaTamid, it's like we're going to the Beis HaMikdash and we're encountering the Mizbeach. Now, if you look on your map, you now walk up 12 steps to the Ulam. Do you see the Ulam? This is the Ulam. On your big map, this is the Ulam. It's very wide in the front, and there are 12 steps leading up to that. Everybody sees that?
Yes.
You see the Ulam? Or on your little map, you see the Ulam is, you see these steps where it says Rabbi Shmuel Omer?
Yes.
Okay. There are 12 steps of the Ulam, and then there's a platform. A total of 13 steps. You know what that corresponds to? Did you ever see in the Sidur, before Psukei de Zimra, Rabbi Shmuel Omer, B'shalosh Esrei Midor HaTorah Nidreshes Bahem. With 13 procedures, the Torah is expounded. That corresponds to the 13 steps leading up from the Ezrat Kohanim until you get to the Ulam. Okay? Now, if you look in the Ulam has a big entrance and a big exit. And the Ulam corresponds to Pesukei de Zimra. Pesukei de Zimra. What's Pesukei de Zimra? It has a big entrance. You know what the entrance is? Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Anybody know how many Baruchs are in Baruch she'amar? 13. The exit is Yishtabach. How many praises are in Yishtabach? Also 13. Okay, so the Ulam, the entrance is Baruch she'amar. The exit is Yishtabach. Now, if you would go into the Ulam, imagine we could go into the Ulam. So we're entering, as we're saying Baruch she'amar, we're entering the Ulam. As we're exiting the Ulam, we're finishing Psukei de Zimra. In the Ulam, there were chains hanging down from the ceiling. The young Kohanim would climb up these chains, and on the ceiling was the crown of Melech HaMashiach, the crown of Zerubbabel. Pesukei de Zimra is like chains. You know why Pesukei de Zimra is like chains? Each part of Pesukei de Zimra is linked to the next part. You see, if you study Pesukei de Zimra carefully, we think, oh, what's Pesukei de Zimra? It's like 30 pages of say, God, you're amazing, you're great, you're fantastic. And we don't understand the difference between one praise and another praise, because we didn't really study the nuance of difference between one expression and another. But if you understand Pesukei de Zimra properly, we'll see how each part of the Tefillah, one is linked to the next. So it's like a chain. So the entrance of the Ulam is Baruch she'amar. The Pesukei de Zimra are the chains. The exit is Yishtabach. And now we're up to a really holy place. We're up to a place called the Heichal, or the Kodesh. How many Heichal? Do you see the Heichal? You got that? Okay. Now this is very important. Does anybody know their Mishkan layout? In the Mishkan layout, you have 3 main kelim in the Mishkan. What were they? What? The table, Shulchan, in the north, Menorah in the south, and Mizbeach HaKetoret. You know, I never did this. I always wanted to do this. Okay. Now I could cross it off my to-do list. Using a, what is it called? Dry marker? Okay, there you go. So these are the 13 steps. Yeah, okay. Now this is the Ulam. This is the entrance. This is the exit. This is Baruch she'amar. Baruch she'amar. This is Yishtabach. Now, over here you have Shulchan, the table. Over here in the south, what's this? See, you like my drawing. And here you have Mizbeach HaKetoret, the incense altar. Okay? You know the Shulchan is in the north. The Menorah is in the south. You know, in America, where do Jews love to go? Miami. All Jews love to go to Miami. What's in Miami? There's nothing there. It's just hot. But Jews love to go to Miami. And they even love to go to Panama more. In New York, everyone, Panama. Miami is here and Panama is here. They think Panama is Gan Eden HaTachton. I'm telling you. In New York, all they talk about is Panama. And in Panama, all they talk about is New York. Okay. So, the Gemara says, the menorah is in the south. Therefore, harotzeh lehachkim yadrim. If you want to become smart, always go to the south. What does that mean? It means when you daven Shemona Esrei, if you want money, when you face Mizrach, face a little to the north. If you want wisdom, you face a little to the south. What's better, wisdom or money? Wisdom. You know why? Because if you have money and you don't have wisdom, you're going to waste the money. But if you have wisdom, you'll get money also. Right? So, the siman, the Gemara says, is the menorah, which represents the wisdom of the Torah, is in the south, and the shulchan, which is the sustenance, is in the north. Did you ever realize there are three main parts of Birchat Kriya Shema? Birchat Kriya Shema, you start, Yotzer, Or, Uborei, Choshech, Oseh, Shalom, Versakal. You see, in this world, there are two ways of recognizing Hashem. You know, there are two ways to see Hashem in this world. You could see Hashem by studying nature. You study the rise of the sun. The sun, you know how much energy comes out of the sun every second? More energy comes out of the sun in 1 second than all the electricity ever produced in planet Earth from the moment the world was created until today. It's mind-boggling. The wisdom of one cell, of the eye, of the human body. You know, I'll tell you something. You know, a baby, how does a baby breathe? In utero. A baby in a mother's womb. How does a baby breathe? The baby is not inhaling, right? The blood of the mother, which is oxygenated, goes into the baby. So, you know, the blood goes, in a human being, the blood goes into the right atria. It then goes into the right ventricle. The right ventricle pumps the blood to the lungs. The lungs oxygenate the blood. The blood then goes to the left atria, to the left ventricle, and on to the rest of the body. But in a baby's blood is not oxygenated from its lungs. So when it goes to the right ventricle, it doesn't have to pump it to the lungs. So you know, in a baby, there's a hole in the heart, and the blood passes from one side of the heart to the other side of the heart, because it doesn't need to go to the lungs. Does anybody know how long could a person survive once they're born with a hole in their heart? They can't survive at all. So how does a baby survive? The moment the baby is born, it cries. The crying creates pressure in the heart. That pressure seals the heart shut without any surgical procedure. If this doesn't work, the baby chas v'shalom needs heart surgery. And God, perfect surgeon, He creates this pressure by the baby crying, and the baby doesn't have to have surgery. You don't need insurance. God Himself performs this procedure like that. It's a miracle. It's an unbelievable miracle. So one way to recognize Hashem in this world is by studying nature. So the shulchan, which represents the physical world, is the bracha, Yotzer Ar Ubarei Choshech Oseh Shalom Ubarei Etekol. There's an even greater way to recognize Hashem in this world. Even greater than studying nature is studying the Torah. You know, when you study the Torah, you come to see Hashem in this world even more than when you study nature. The menorah is the bracha, Ahavat Olam Ahavtanu Hashem Elokeinu. Ahavat Olam is the blessing over the Torah. So here it is. You're entering the Heichal. When we say Yotzer Or Uborei Choshech, that corresponds to the Shulchan. When we say Ahavat Olam Ahavtanu, that's what you say? I say Nusach Ashkenaz. I say Ahava Rabba Ahavtanu. But I know my crowd. Ahavat Olam Ahavtanu is the bracha of the menorah. Mizbeach HaKetoret. Mizbeach HaKetoret is different than the Mizbeach HaOlah. On Mizbeach HaOlah, what do we offer to God? Animals. On Mizbeach HaKetoret, what do we offer to God? Incense. Incense is something. What part of a human of a human gets benefit from Ketoret? The neshama. The neshama. Kriyat Shema. Mizbeach HaKetoret Kriyat Shema. I'm going to tell you something very important. One of the most important kavanot that we have when we say Kriyat Shema is we say, Hashem, if we were ever put to the ultimate test, if our lives were ever threatened, we would give up our life al Kiddush Hashem. We would give up our soul for you, God. That is the kavanah that we have when we say Kriyat Shema. Kavanat Mesirat Nefesh. That corresponds to Mizbeach HaKetoret. Now, there's still one more part of Tefillah before we get to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Baruch Atah Hashem, Go'al Yisrael. That's the. Does anybody know what this part is? This is a curtain. What is it called? Parochet. Very good. Parochet. You won a free vacuum cleaner. No. Parochet. And this is Kodesh HaKadoshim. And what part of the Tefillah do you think Kodesh HaKadoshim corresponds to? Amidah. So it's not just when you start the Tefillah and you wash Netilat Yadayim, you're washing your hands from a kiyar. And when you get up to Shemona Esrei, you're in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. But how did I jump from the kiyar to the Kodesh HaKadoshim? The answer is every single paragraph of the Tefillah corresponds to another detail of Beit HaMikdash. And now we understand how important it is. Every chapter and every paragraph and every word, it's actually a journey from the outside of the Beit HaMikdash until you reach the climax of the Tefillah, where you're standing in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You're not just facing the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you're standing in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Say, wait a second. Any Kohanot over here? Bat Kohen. Even a Bat Kohen can't go into Kodesh HaKadoshim. Even Kohen can't go into Kodesh HaKadoshim. Even Kohen Gadol can't go into Kodesh HaKadoshim. Kohen Gadol can only go into Kodesh HaKadoshim once a year on Yom HaKippurim. So how is it that we're going in every single day, 3 times a day? The answer is, what does God tell the Jewish people before He gives us the Torah? V'atem tihiyuli mamlechet Kohanim v'go kadosh. We're a nation of Kohanim. Physically, we may not be a Kohen. Am Yisrael. Women can't go into the Heichal. But that's on a physical level. On a spiritual level, every single Jew, every single day is going into Kodesh HaKadoshim. When you're standing Shemona Esrei, you should think, I am a Kohen Gadol. I am standing in the Holy of Holies. It's only me and the Almighty and the Creator of the universe. We're not just facing Kodesh HaKadoshim, we're actually in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So, here's the executive summary, okay? When, let's see, Ezras Nashim. See, my good chart is not going to be in here. Okay. Ezrat Nashim is the beginning of the Tefillah. It's Ma'toivu, it's Adonai Olam, it's all the introductory prayers. The 15 steps are the 15 Birchat HaShachar. Each bracha, you're saying you're going up another step. Then, you enter the Ezrat Kohanim, the Mizbeach. Mizbeach is Karbanot. 13 steps, Rabbi Shmuel Omer, B'shalosh esrei midot haTorah nidrashas bahem. You enter the Ulam, Baruch She'amar. You exit the Ulam, Yishtabach. Yotzar Oru Baruch Choshech, the Shulchan that represents the physical universe. The Menorah that represents the Torah. Ahavat Olam Ahavtanu. Mizbeach HaKetoret is Kriya Shema. Go'al Yisrael, Parochet. Shmoneh Esrei, you're standing in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You could take this card, you could keep it in your siddur, even to have a little bit of an awareness that I'm not just saying words. The Rebbeinu Shalom selected me to be able to enter the holiest spot on earth every single day. There are no restrictions. And in that sense, we're all kadosh, we're all kohanim, and every chapter of the tefillah, every word of the tefillah is so important because it gives us access to another holy dimension of the Beit HaMikdash. So, thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm going to go back to New York and I'm going to share with them that I was zochet to be in Gan Eden HaTachton here in Panama. What could be better? Learning Torah in Gan Eden, right? Thank you very much. All your tefillot should be nitkabel b'rachamim v'ratzon. Sure.
Obviously, ideally, it's to pray the whole shaharit or the whole mincha.
Ken.
Some of us,
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.